Welcome to the Sheridan Report, brought to you by MyBookie.Ag. If you want to go ahead and sign up for MyBookie.Ag, you could use a promo code TGT50, or you could get up to a 50% cash back bonus on your first deposit up to $3,000 by going to thegrillingtruth.com, clicking on the banner at the top of the page. I am your master of ceremonies, Mike Goodpaster, and I want to welcome in my co-host, my co-master of ceremonies, former San Diego Padre draft pick, and a man that has, put up with me and Steve Risley for a couple months now. And I think you have pulled all your hair out now, haven't you, Bobby Sheridan?
When I don't shave it, yeah, I do.
Oh, Bobby, we went through this yesterday. If you shave your head because you've got a bald spot, you're bald. You're just in denial, and you need to just accept it.
Well, you're right, and I wear a hat anyway, so what's the difference?
Well, yeah, and now see, when you put two and two together, that is bald spot, hat, bald. There you go. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start off with Major League Baseball today, Bobby.
Let's do it, Mike. Things are cranking in the MLB. I'm really feeling good about my reads now and kind of how the series are playing out and pitching staffs and bullpens and all the things that I look at with Major League Baseball. And today we've got one top play, three total straight plays, and a three-team parlay. So let's hit the three-team parlay first. It starts in the afternoon here with the Giants, and that's a 105 start. That's with Madison Bumgarner on the mound. And the Giants are getting just outstanding pitching, great bullpen. They had 13 innings of shutout from their bullpen last night. The game ended at around 1 a.m. on the Pacific Coast, and they did you got to win those games. I was listening to Kuiper and Dwayne Kuiper on the broadcast, and he was saying, if you're going to play these 18 inning things, you just got to win it. And I already had our three-teamer put in and sent out, and we had the Giants with Bumgarner, and so hey, I feel even better. They got the win, and so they'll lead us off today in the three-team parlay. That's a 1:00 start. Then you hit the Diamondbacks at 5:00. And they're down 0-2 in that series, and I like the pitching matchup today with the young pitcher that they've got throwing really well. And then we've got, to finish it all off, would be a nice, solid favorite, the Astros with Verlander on the mound, kind of showing Seattle, slow your roll a little bit. So we got the Giants, D-backs, and Astros, and that three-teamer pays over 4-1, Mike. So I really like that value as well.
All right. Anything else?
There's your three-team parlay. Sorry to catch you there in the coffin.
That's all right.
So, okay, here's our straight plays. Let's head into it now. Our straight play, the top play I'll save for last. So we'll hit the Marlins. We had them yesterday. We've been explaining to the listeners that we're looking to bet the Marlins and the Pirates in spots in the interdivision. So you got the Marlins, got blown out yesterday by the Phillies, but I liked the matchup. It didn't work out our way. And I'm coming right back again with that matchup. Caleb Smith has done a good job. And, you got Philadelphia on the road laying pretty significant money with one of their lesser-tiered pitchers, Zach Eflin. So we're going to take Caleb Smith. We're going to give Miami another shot, get that money back, and be a winner for these 2 days on Miami because they're plus 143. So that's a straight play. And then we're going to finish off our straight plays with the Royals tonight.
Hey, real quick, plus 150 on MyBookie.
Plus 150, so you got even better price there. I'm down to plus 143 on mine, so that's a good price on Miami on MyBookie. And then what is MyBookie with the Royals, Mike? I have a feeling that's gone that way, not the other way. What's the Royals?
Hold on here. The
Royals
Indians,
are playing
right?
Cleveland.
Yeah, the Royals are plus 105.
Very good. Yeah, they're plus 107 when I put the wager, when I made the sheet last night, I like that price. I've actually got minus 102 now, which is still a small dog because that means Cleveland's minus 108. So there's always a 10-cent difference. But MyBookie's got good lines there in the baseball. You guys should take advantage of that. I think they're probably kind of leaning to the favorites a little bit. Maybe they're getting a lot of favorite money with their bettors, but mine is a little bit maybe more connected to Vegas. I don't know. Kansas City minus 102. So there's our two straight plays, but we've left out the top play. And I've always said, when the top play wins, it can't be that bad of a day. Because, you've got to put a little bit more money on these games because these are the games I'm saying where it all adds up a little bit better. It should at least, and it does. And our top play is the Pirates today. I really like this pitching matchup. Archer over Anibal Sanchez is a starting pitcher favoritism there. In terms of, I like that for Archer. I also completely like the bullpen mismatch. Pittsburgh Pirates actually have some unbelievable arms in the bullpen, and the Nationals, the only reliever that's I trust at all is Doolittle, the closer, and anybody else is just really. You saw how yesterday's game went. That cost us our three-teamer, Mike. The Nationals bullpen inability to. Yes, it was really bad, and so Pittsburgh with plus 105, and they're getting contributions from different people in that lineup, and I like Pittsburgh a lot today, and I think that they'll win that game. They'll win another one in Washington. So the straight plays Pittsburgh, Miami, and Kansas City. So that's a pretty solid MLB card.
All right, Bobby, the NBA playoffs tip-off at 2:45 Eastern, which is in about 8 minutes. Who's your top plays for today?
Okay, and I have to just refresh my my lines because I want to give you the correct up-to-date lines. But let's go ahead and let you know that right now before I get the lines. And the top play, I don't think you need to worry too much about that first game. I'm not taking part of that one, but I'll save it. So we're going to go. Let's fast forward to the last game of the evening, and that's the Spurs and the Nuggets. And I'm going to pull up. I think 5.5 is what I've got now.
5.5 is my bookie too.
5.5. Okay, and that's in favor of the Nuggets at home. And if you've been listening to any of the previews or any of the kind of the stuff, you're going to know that I'm on San Antonio. I believe that whoever finished seventh in the Western Conference was going to have a real advantage in this first round series and trying to knock off a favorite, because I think Denver is got some liabilities here as we head into the playoffs. They're limping in. They have a very good home court advantage playing up there in the altitude, but San Antonio is an experienced team. They still have guys that can get it done. Now, they haven't won on the road in the regular season, but they finished winning some road games in the regular season, and we know are very well coached, and they've got a huge shot in this series. The series price is just a little over 2-1 for Denver. You can get about 2-1 on San Antonio for the whole series. This is a 2 versus 7. For example, the other 2 versus 7s and 1 versus 8s are just extreme odds in favor of the favorites. The Milwaukees and the Torontos and the Golden States. But Denver doesn't fit that mold. Well, there's a reason. San Antonio's got a big shot in this series. There's a new start time of 10:45 Eastern on that. It's been switched already on ESPN, and I like San Antonio, Mike. I think you can bet, whatever you want to play on the game, and I would take another 30%, 40% on the money line. Go for the money line on this one. They got a big shot to take game one. Most people are expecting this to go 7 and have each home team win. I think San Antonio has a real shot in this first game to steal the home court away.
All right, is that all we got NBA-wise tonight?
That's not all we got, because I got a top play. Now, that first game that you mentioned at 11:45 is Philadelphia and Brooklyn, and a lot of people are trying to give Brooklyn a shot in this series, and I really don't, because
is Embiid playing?
He's playing, and if Embiid, Harris, Simmons, and Butler are on the court, and they got their A lineup, they're not losing to the Brooklyn Nets. So, and they may not lose at all until they get to the finals. This is a team capable. They're the X factor in the East, just because of when those 4 guys play, they win. And they've had injuries problems, but Embiid's the key, and so they should probably win. The line's up to 8. I saw it as low as 6. So obviously the health concerns are no longer. He's in the lineup, and I'm just going to pass the game and watch. But don't be surprised if Philadelphia plays pretty hard, plays pretty well there in that first game. I'm watching. The game I'm on, game 1, is Orlando Magic. That line is now up to 9.5. What do you happen to pull up my bookie, Mike?
Yes, I did, and I think that. Hold on here. I got to go back.
It was 8.5 yesterday, Toronto, but it's up to 9.5 on mine.
And it is 9.5 on mine also.
Okay, so, this is a 2:15 Pacific, 5:15 Eastern. It's game 2 of the day. It's on ESPN. And my basic premise is this, is Orlando Magic finished the year playing extremely good basketball. Very balanced. They were front court laden in the first part of the year. They have a very strong front court with Gordon, Vucevic, and others. And their backcourt started playing very, very well. I like DJ Augustine. I think he's going to win the point guard matchup with Lowry. They don't rely on Lowry as much. They've got other pieces. They've got an MVP-type player in Kawhi Leonard, who they've really rested a lot this year. They have the most improved player in the league, Siakam, among others. They're a very deep team. But the thing, I have two parts going here. I think Toronto is, like Philadelphia, a bit of a wild card because they've been playing a lot of different lineups here in the last 30 games, since they traded for Gasol, trying to find the right pieces. And I'm sure they probably have between the game and the practice. But I'm going to make them prove it to me first that their team is going to lay 9.5 points at home in game 1 against a team, the Orlando Magic, who is very, very capable of not only staying in this game, but having a shot in the fourth quarter. Orlando finished the year by far the best of those bottom 4, bottom 5, bottom 6. Remember the Miamis and the Charlottes and the Brooklyns and the Detroits, they all came down to the wire. And Orlando just head and shoulders above that class. So where does Orlando fit? A little bit of a wild card. Where does Toronto fit? A little bit of a wild card. Are they the favorite? They're going to revert back to their playoff woes? I don't know. But I do know this. I like 9.5 points. And I'm going to take it, bet on it, and not pass up on this opportunity today. I like the Magic.
All right. So that's all basketball?
That's all. So we got 2 dogs, San Antonio and Orlando. I think Orlando's the top play. Pittsburgh Pirates and the baseball is the top play. And let's really watch Philadelphia and see how strong they are in this game 1. And we'll have some thoughts game 2. My overall thoughts in playoffs is you've got to watch these games. You've got to watch the series. And there are money-making opportunities where there's really good value as the series unfolds, as the drama unfolds. And many times, and Mike, we've gone over this, one of these teams may be blown out in game 1, and we might be on them big in game 2. So just keep an eye on that.
All right.
Meaning on the team that got blown out.
All right.
Yeah.
So you want to go boxing now?
Let's go boxing, Mike, and this is for you. I mean, this is for your baby, and you've made me aware of a boxing match that I need to be on tonight, knowing that I'm a dog guy, that I'm a value guy. We got an upset tonight somewhere?
I think there's a chance at an upset, and it's more than 2-1. I guess plus 215 on MyBookie. It's in Minneapolis at the Armory tonight. Caleb Truax will take on Peter Quillin. Quillin is a guy that I think is a little bit past his prime. Truax is a guy who got starched by Andre Durrell a couple of years ago in the first round. He looked done. He came back upset James DeGale to win a portion of a world title. He then lost a disputed decision to DeGale to lose it back. They fight tonight. And Peter Quillin is a guy who a few years ago, a lot of people in boxing had high hopes for. When I look at this fight, to me, it's a 50-50 fight. And anytime I can get a 50-50 fight, I'm going to take the guy that's plus 215, Bobby.
Oh, no doubt. Now, let me ask you a question. Is this a fight where Peter Quillin, he's not the house guy. He's not the big, they're not on him where
well,
maybe
I'll put it like this. Truax is from Minnesota.
Okay. That's good. Now, what about the promotion, though? The promoter, Quillen's an older guy, so I mean,
Quillen's an older guy, but I mean, I don't think that there is a favorite either way here. So if we get a bad decision, it's just going to be because the judges are incompetent. I don't think it'll be a screw job on anybody, which makes me feel better about betting this also. But let's face it,
Absolutely.
I've seen incompetent judging a lot in boxing. So I think the over-under is 7.5. So I like Truax here. In most boxing matches, if you look at the lines anymore, plus 5,000, plus 7,000. Hell, there was 3 fights on ESPN Plus last night where the smallest dog was plus 900. So
Right.
At least there's something interesting to bet. The only other line that is remotely close would be Clarissa Shields against Christina Hammer tonight, which is on Showtime. They're calling it the biggest women's boxing match of all time. But, hey, women can't really fight, so we're not even going to pay attention to that. You want to look at the NHL a little bit, Bobby?
I agree with you. Okay, NHL, what's interesting for our fans is that we've kind of attacked this Toronto-Boston series, and I was really touting the fact that the Toronto Maple Leafs had a very good chance to win the series as a small underdog, and therefore you and I talked about, okay, what do you want to do with these first two games in Boston? I said, okay, let's come right out and take them game one, and then we'll go from there. Well, Toronto took game one, and they took it, fairly easily. I think 4-1 was the final score, and here we come back. The line is the same. Now, what's happened is the line to win the series, which keeps changing after each game, is now flipped to where Toronto's a 165 favorite to win the series. So what we're looking at is, will Toronto go up 2-0? How does that play out? Or will Boston get this one and go back 1-1? Toronto accomplished what they wanted. Now they kind of got house money, and they're going to see if they can, go up 2-0. Now, yesterday, Mike, you gave out a great three-team parlay. If you remember,
I gave out 2/3 of a great three-team parlay.
Well, but I'm going to give you some props here. You gave out the two hard parts. You gave out the Islanders, who were a small dog, and the Vegas Knights, who were a small dog. They both cashed. And the best team in the league, tying for the best regular season record ever, they go down 0-2 now. I mean, Tampa Bay loses at home. They're down 0-2. They now have to win 4 of the next 5 on the road, and they put themselves in a real
To me,
hole.
that's what makes this Maple Leafs Bruins hard to pick, because I went with the home favorite there because I thought Tampa Bay's the better team. They don't let that happen again. The thing about Toronto and Boston is this: going into this season, if you'd have told me they're going to play a best of 7, I'm going to pick Toronto every time because I think Toronto was the better team. I still think Toronto's the better team. It's why when we did the show with Sam, I said I thought it was a 7-game series. The problem with Toronto is they hadn't played like the better team all year. And what we saw in Game 1, I think, is what I expected the Maple Leafs to do all year long. And they dominated the Bruins. And this is normally, I would automatically, like yesterday, just go ahead and say the home team's going to win Game 2 just because, they're the 2 seed, they're the better team. I don't think that's the case here. I think this game is a toss-up. If I was going to bet a straight one here, I would probably go with the plus 21 at 125, especially if I hit with them the other day. I would just bet a little less.
Right, exactly. You hit the other day. Let's say you put 100 and you've already made 125. If you bet another 100 and they lose, okay, you still make $25 for that series, that 2 games, and you move on. You can hit that 100 today and go and have a big score, or you can just watch Game 2. You've already got your 125 in your pocket, and watch Game 2 and see what go from there. So that's the advantage of hitting them right away. You got it in the bank, and you can just your own style now. You want to be aggressive, you want to back off, and that's the gambling style. Mike, I have a sheet that I put out every day, as the Sheridan Report, and it comes out every day, and it's got games. And it's got 3 baseball games today and a parlay. It's got 2 basketball games. It's got 2 early risers matchups. I don't tell you how much to put on it, how to bet it, parlay, straight. I will designate a top play. There's 2 of those are designated as top plays, which means, okay, you can put a little bit more. These are my best bets. But, there's different styles. Some people are parlay bettors. Some people are just straight conservative bettors. And, some people are a little mix of both. That's probably me, a little mix of both. But I do tend to bet my best bets. Straight bets, I bet them pretty heavy. So, that's the beauty of trying to put together how to make money at this thing. It's not just knowing the teams, it's knowing how to bet.
All right, Bobby, you ready for a little on this day?
I sure am.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break, listen to a word from our sponsor. We'll be back right after this. Hi, I'm Mike Goodpasser from the Grueling Truth Sports Network, and I'm here with just one simple message. If you're watching the games, it's time to start making money. The Grueling Truth has recently partnered with MyBookie.Ag, an industry-leading sportsbook website, who reminds you that where you bet is just as important as who you're betting on. And that's why The Grueling Truth urges you to check out MyBookie.Ag. In addition to the usual thousands of odds, money lines, proposition bets, and futures offered on MyBookie.Ag daily, they also have in-game live betting and a mobile site that makes wagering on the go easier than ever. So join now and MyBookie will give you up to a free $1,000 cash bonus on your first deposit. Just enter promo code TGT50, that's TGT50, to take advantage of this offer. You can also go to thegruelingtruth.net, click the banner at the top of the page for MyBookie.Ag, and also get the same benefit and the same $1,000 free cash bonus on your first deposit. So visit MyBookie.Ag, courtesy of The Grueling Truth, and enjoy winning today. MyBookie.Ag. You play, you win, you get paid. All right, guys, we're back on the Sheridan Report. I'm Mike Goodpasture with Bobby Sheridan. Bobby, what do we got on this day?
Okay, let's go on this day, Mike. 2014. So this might be the most recent on this day that you and I have hit in a long time. And it's a boxing one, so let's do that in honor of Truax tonight, and let's get him some good karma. Manny Pacquiao, on this day, 2014, defeats Timothy Bradley to regain his WBO welterweight boxing title.
Yeah, and this was the second fight. The first fight they'd had was a couple years before that, and actually Bradley won the fight by a very controversial split decision. I think most people thought that Pacquiao won the fight. Pacquiao, after that, his very next fight, got knocked out by Juan Manuel Marquez in the sixth round, one of the great one-punch knockouts in boxing history. He came back and he beat Brandon Rios, who he's expected to beat. Then he fights Bradley again. He dominates Bradley, wins that fight. But my take on Manny Pacquiao is I think he is the best fighter of this century. I think he's better than Floyd Mayweather. I think that if Floyd Mayweather would have gave him a shot, if they would have fought in 2010 when Pacquiao was in his prime, I think Pacquiao was quick enough he could have beat him. But even if he wouldn't, even if Mayweather would have won, I still think Pacquiao is the more accomplished fighter. I mean, he's won titles from like 120 pounds all the way up to 154 pounds. And if you look at the people he beat, I mean, when you go through it, you got 2 out of 3 against Timothy Bradley, probably won all 3. You get wins, I think, in 3 out of 4 fights with Juan Manuel Marquez, who's a Hall of Famer. He beat Shane Mosley. He beat Antonio Margarito. He beat Miguel Cotto. He beat Ricky Hatton. He beat Oscar De La Hoya. Beat David Diaz, former lightweight champion. Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales. He won 3-fight series with both of those guys. Oscar Larios. When you look at it, his career from 2002 to now is like unreal. And he beat a lot of these guys in their primes. And when I look at that, I just am more impressed by that than I am with Mayweather, because Mayweather, to me, was not afraid to fight anybody. He didn't duck anybody until he moved up to welterweight. Once he moved to welterweight, that was it. And if you look at the people he's fought, he's usually taken the safe way, or he's taken old guys. And, I mean, by comparison, Oscar De La Hoya loses a close 12-round decision to Mayweather. A year or two later, Pacquiao knocks him out in the 9th round. Pacquiao knocks out Hatton in 2 rounds. Mayweather stops him in 10. And I do think there are questions with PED use with Pacquiao. I think there's almost no doubt that he did do it. But I also think that people ignore the Mayweather PED issue, which I think it comes into play when he fought Pacquiao. Because when he fought Pacquiao, he was found to have illegally gotten an IV before the fight. The problem with that is, what is your reason for getting an illegal IV? It's usually to cover up a drug test when you take it after the fight. So I just think this. I think Manny Pacquiao is an all-time great fighter. He's still the only guy that's fighting today that can get 1 million pay-per-view buys. And he's supposed to fight Keith Thurman, who is one of the best welterweights in the world. So Manny Pacquiao, from the age of 20 to 40, has been on top of the game. And I think he's a guy that gets overlooked big time. And I just wish Floyd Mayweather would have had the balls to fight him 5 or 6 years earlier.
Yeah, my gosh, that would have been a real. We really see who was the best there. But now, what year did they fight, Mike?
Well, they
Roughly
fought
what
in
year was that?
2015, I think. Which
15. Okay, so after.
2015, yeah, you look at 2015. He fights Mayweather in 15, and that's after he's been knocked out by Marquez a couple years before, as the loss to Bradley. He did not look good going into that either. He wins a decision over Bradley. He beats Chris Algieri, who was undefeated at the time, but not a great fighter. He's a solid fighter. Hell of a chef, though. He's got his own cooking show now. Brandon Rios, who is just, they call him Bam Bam, so you know he's not a highly technical fighter. So they fought in 2015, and I think this. My opinion of Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, the way it worked out, the way they fought, is I think the fight was a staged fight. I don't even think it was a real fight. I think they went in there with the idea of fleecing and making about $400 million in between them, getting 4 million people or 5 million people to pay $100 each, and then they went out and they safely sparred and touched each other for 12 rounds. And it was supposed to be the biggest fight ever. I did not pay to see that fight because that's what I thought was going to happen. Just like with Mayweather and McGregor, it was a staged fight. There's no way Conor McGregor, number one, Floyd Mayweather don't fight people by standing in front of them. And in a real fight, Mayweather beats the hell out of McGregor within 3 or 4 minutes. So I think both of those fights were staged. I think Mayweather and
Right.
Pacquiao had a gentleman's agreement. Ain't nobody getting hurt, and we're cashing in, and that's what we saw.
Yeah,
You have so much experience and wisdom regarding this boxing. It's been a passion of yours, and you've followed it your whole life, and you have those instincts. And but much of the public that pays, that buys those pay-per-views, they're just looking. They're thinking it's all on the up and up. That they're looking to see, two of the greatest, and they're going to go at it. And let's see, and what's going on under the surface, really going on, is sometimes different.
Yeah, and I mean, we've found out sporting events we've seen were not on the up and up, and I think people would be amazed if they knew the amount of stuff that they've seen and been a part of watching that was not on the up and up.
Yeah, and Mike, you've been privy to through the Legend series. You've interviewed some of these guys and talked to them off there. You've got information that a lot of people don't have regarding what really goes down sometimes.
Yeah, and I can tell you this, Canelo Alvarez, a lot of his stuff's not on the up and up, and that's just from talking to guys that have been around it. Of course, we don't interview those guys and ask them the questions on the Legend Show, but there's a lot of shady stuff that goes on in every sport. All right, anything else, Bobby?
No doubt.
No, that's it, Mike. Let's enjoy the weekend. We won't be on tomorrow, but I want everyone to enjoy the weekend, and you can still catch,
Little tweet that I put out that may give you some information on some games or whatever coming up for the rest of today and tomorrow. And we got the Masters. I know a lot of people are interested in the Masters, and that's got a lot of contenders.
contenders that have won majors that are right there at the top, and Tiger Woods no less, and we've got Major League Baseball series will be winding up, and the NBA playoffs, a brand new 4 games tomorrow, and four today, and there's just a lot going on, and so I'm really busy, and I'm making sure that I'm on top of everything, and everyone just have a great weekend.
All right, guys, and I want to remind everybody to also go check out the Handicapper's Guide, which is basically if you're into the horses, you can't get a better deal than this. I think he's at 4 separate tacks, $5 a day, you get that track, or like $10 a day, you get all 4 combined.
Right, something like that, and it's the handicapping guide. It's handicap ing, handicappingguide.com. It's you can find on the Grueling Truth website. There's a little what do you call that, Mike? A little advertisement, but there's a box there you can click and take you right to this page, the handicappingguide.com.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I'll remind everybody we're now at gruelingtruth.com. So go there, check out MyBookie.Ag, combine that with the Sheridan Report. Also, we will be available within the next week or so with an app on Zeno Radio Live, so make sure you check that out. And you can hear all of our shows, as always, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Bobby Sheridan, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.